cortisol levels are raised even more, 2 times more likely, when you're pregnant with a boy. So like the stresses of just even carrying a child for a black woman and then carrying like a male child is even like that starts before you're even born.
Happened around the same time. It was a hockey team, and a local team lost. And then the fans of that local team, obviously them predominantly being white, were flipping cars yeah, you know, they were flipping cars and doing stuff like that, right? And none of us heard about that. There weren't. It was almost like a boys being boys type of thing, right? Rather than, you know, someone died. You know, one of us were shot and killed by the people who were supposed to protect us, and obviously we're upset about it. And now we're thugs and we're rioting, and this is some huge event.
About like I think it happened about 2011 or 2008 in that time frame. So that's why not too many people really heard about it. Because I know exactly what you're talking about because I watched that whole video and it was actually really ridiculous how I just like watched a whole group of white people just destroy an entire town and the police just literally just sat there. They arrested probably at most like on camera probably most like 5-10 people and everybody just got escorted. And you look at the situation that happens with us, like most of us aren't even. Most of the people that were actually like destroying like CVS's and stuff like that, they were just there just for like their own personal gain. For most people that are actually out there like protesting and actually having an issue with what was going on, a lot of those people were just really standing and just having like standing protests, not really doing anything. And those are the people that are actually like engaged with like riot shields and all that other stuff. And it's just really funny how you observe certain things. And like one of the things that I really want to get out of that whole thing and fiasco is that like I feel like for me, what I've noticed is that a lot of the times when situations like this happen, I feel like if we were to do something, or people were to do something with that type of situation, we should actually do it strategically. For example, I was watching, I don't know if anybody knows Hot Damn I Rock.
Yeah.
So the funny thing was that he had a very, very good point. And he was explaining that instead of us sitting here burning out CVS's and stuff, that we were mad, why don't we just attack a police station? Whether or not somebody's dying or not, yes, I understand like us dying is a very big situation. But instead of us sitting here saying, let's all take our anger on this CVS, why don't we just go to the police station and riot out there instead of doing it instead of the entire town that we're going to have to end up cleaning a week later, you know?
Their punishment is like so much more lenient than like if a black person was to do it. Because like I remember my friend was telling me this situation about how this teenage boy, him and his friends robbed the store, took some beer, and was drunk driving, ended up crashing into a group of people and killing 4 of those people. And he only ended up getting like probation and like 10-year sentences because he was from a rich white family. He doesn't know he doesn't have morals because his parents gave him everything he wanted. So he doesn't know the difference between right and wrong. So there's like, oh, why would we punish him? Because it's not his fault. It's the way he was brought up. But like if that same situation was happening with a black kid, he would have got 25 to life.
White kids do that. Like they call them passionate or they just showing like the passion they have for the sport or the game. And then when a group of black kids do that, they call them thugs, they call them criminals, they're probably involved with gang violence or something like that, you know what I'm saying? So they're destroying the community. But you know what I'm saying, a group of white kids is different, you know what I'm saying? So
I know that institutional racism does exist, but like it shouldn't be such a thing of a roadblock that it should prevent like most of our young men from succeeding on like getting education and stuff. For example, as of right now, it's pretty easier for us as a society to get educated, even though we might be poor, but like with EOF and like financial aid all being set up like that, if you want to, like if you have the drive to get out of education, there is a chance for you to get out of the hood or something like that. So if young black men or black people just use this whole institutional racism as an excuse not to try to make something better of themselves, then hey, it's their fault. But if they want to make a change and they want to like set themselves apart and actually make a difference, then they should get themselves educated and hopefully get a job. Then we could move forward as a society.
You notice too about that I want to bring up is the differences between ourselves. Like from where I come from, it's like African Americans and anything else, so like Liberians, Caribbeans, and like they separate each other because a lot of immigrants feel as though they have less time in the States but do more with themselves. than those who are actually born here and speak the language. So instead of us coming together and trying to get out of the struggle, we kind of separate ourselves.
Also, a reason why it kind of fails for black businesses is because we're not supporting our own black businesses. So like, I know a couple of people who are trying to move to like black-owned banks and things like that, but then the problem with that is like the people who are supposed to support it don't even feel like stable with putting their money in a black-owned bank because, you know, that's kind of risky. So I definitely agree like, with what you're saying, or it's perceived to be risky.
Yeah, I don't know if you guys have ever heard that saying. During segregation, we used to say that we both, us and white people, had the same water, but we want to drink their water because we don't like how ours tastes, even though they taste exactly the same.
I was gonna say, I see what y'all saying, you know, about the economic factors and differences and all that. But I mean, even with that, you can examine that, and we could break it down by race because there's been a lot of roadblocks set up for us to fail. Like if you if you're gonna talk about wealth, how do you build up wealth? Through housing. Like you have to own property, own homes. That's how you build wealth. And white people are like 8 times more likely to own homes than black people. And even if you look at from the past, like back in the day when blacks wanted to, when blacks started moving into inner cities and you had white flight, a lot of white people moving into suburban neighborhoods, and blacks wanted to move out of those ghettos or out of the inner cities. You got housing discrimination, so you'll be denied a loan to get a house. So you can't even get your own property to build your wealth. So you gotta look at the roadblocks too. There's, you know what I'm saying? So it's not always just, it isn't all just like race, but a lot of our there's a lot of institutionalized racism, like in America and all different facets of society.
To be honest, I feel that the reason why there is all these problems like the black communities has to do with like the fact that the African American community is poor. For example, if Will Smith's son, Jaden Smith, did some dumb thing and he got arrested, he could get off easily because he's wealthy. At the same time, if like a poor white kid did something that was dumb, he could easily end up in jail because he's poor. I'm not saying that that is the main reason why we have all these problems, but I think we should not really generalize everything, and we should point out that economic factors also affect our community, and that's why we are suffering. Not just the fact that my color is black and his color is white.
I like the point that Humphrey just made. I don't like to make things black and white. People, it's human nature to hate each other of differences, religion, sex, anything. So we all know there's white privilege, but at the end of the day, Asians, Indians, they also see us similar to what white people see us as too. So we gotta take that into consideration. And like I said, they have white privilege. The privilege is something that the person who doesn't have it is always gonna be mad about. So I don't see how we could really feel the way there's no other way for us to feel any type of way. That's like if you had a privilege to drive and I didn't, I would always be mad because you have something that I don't.
I agree with that. You know, at the end of the day, you know, you can't change their privilege, but I mean, if you go and look at the statistics, and you can kind of just forget about the economic factors. Right, it can be a wealthy black person, you know, yeah, they can get arrested and maybe have their day in court and maybe be more likely to get off, right? But what are the chances of them making it to the jail uninjured? You know, what are the chances of them making it out of the jail alive? You know, despite how much money that they actually have, rather than a white person, whether they're poor or have money. You know what I'm saying? Like, I can guarantee you they're probably gonna just get escorted there and be fine. And you know, look at a guy who walked into a church and shot how many people? And he was brought McDonald's on his way to jail. You know, so it's like Burger King. Excuse me. You know what I'm saying? So it's like that's something that's real. And like Demetri was saying, like, that's the privilege where, yeah, you know, it's I think the purpose lies a little bit more deeper than, okay, yeah, like, oh, someone can drive and someone can't. Oh, someone can, eat over here and someone can't. Like, no, like, lives are being taken off of this privilege, and that's why we're so mad. That's why we're so hostile. It's because, we, just by living, just by us not doing anything wrong, just by one person looking at us and be like, you know what, they're darker than me, I don't like them, I'm gonna make sure I systemically set this up to where they can fail. That's why we're so hostile. That's why we're so angry.
We just all have to just stop that bullshit, and for real, because that's not helping anything. It's not helping our advancement. So we have to stop that. And because we see black men who treat their women nice, take care of their children and stuff as anomalies, and that we need to change that and make that the norm, and make the ancient niggas the anomalies. So we're seen as African Americans in general is seen as higher than we are right now. Basically, if you get what I'm saying.